Hi, you right to buyers out there. A lot of you felt that it was really rushed, and it's true, it was. The right to buy discount was announced in November 2024, and you were given just over 2 weeks to apply before the discount of 136,400 and 102,400, so depending whether we're in London or outside of London, was reduced to, in some places 38,000, but in other places as little as 16,000. Now, a lot of people felt that it was rushed and they applied because why not? It's not going to cost you anything. Now, just to make you aware, if you applied and you've looked at the affordability, and by all means, a lot of people have been DMing me to help them work out their affordability, and you've found that it's not going to work for you, then you just carry on living there just like you always have done. So you haven't really, obviously it's a shame, but you haven't really lost out on anything. So that's one thing to be aware of. The next thing is, those of you that have got your section 125, and other people obviously got refused their section 125, so they applied but they didn't get it. Some of these reasons were not all the council properties or housing association properties were on the scheme. Some of them hadn't paid their rent, so had rent arrears and things like that. So there were some reasons why you couldn't apply. So that aside, if you applied in time, and that's the other thing, if you apply like the 21st of November onwards, you still can exercise your right to buy. You'll just get a different discount cap. So when I'm quoting the 136,400 or the 102,400, I'm actually talking about the cap. So that's the maximum you can get. So even if your property's there and you're eligible for 70% of it, if 70% is more than the 136, for example, the most you'll get is 136. So that's how it works. That's the first thing to understand. The next thing is, the most common question I get, can I use the discount as the deposit? Now, the majority of lenders will let you use 100%. There are a couple of lenders that will only let you use 95% of the discount. So that's something to be aware of. Right, what's next? So the next thing is, I just wanted to go through the process. So you applied for RTB1, you had to do either an interview or additional forms or whatever's been going on. A valuer came out, valued it, and then you get the section 125. The first thing I would recommend you do is check that it all works out. It all matches up, check with the information. I've done a couple of videos about how to check your section 125, but in a nutshell, it has to have the right address, it's got to have the right people on it that you originally applied. Double check that you're happy with the discount, the value of the property, and the maths works as well. So what I mean by that is, I've only seen one actually where it says it was worth a certain amount, and then they put the discount, and then the amount that they offered was not the difference. So you'd assume, say the property was 236,400, and then the discount is 136,400, you'd expect the offer to be 100,000. In this situation, it was actually 150,000. They'd added money back on. So that, I asked my client to double check that it was a legitimate reason for adding it back on. So that's that. Now, once you've checked your section 125 and you're happy with it, the next step is to A, work out affordability, B, check your credit file, and C, have you got any money put aside that you could add to the discount to reduce the mortgage? Once you've done all that, then you need to look at what is your income. So have you got benefit income? Have you got employed income? Have you got self-employed income? So you need to look at all of those when you're going to apply for a mortgage. Now, of course, if you have a mortgage advisor, someone like myself will be doing all this for you. But just so you understand what's going on, it really, really is important. So once you've sort of pulled aside all your income and then obviously all your committed expenses, which is all on your credit report, then you can work out what you can afford. Once you work out what you can afford, then the best thing to do is to work out what is the best mortgage option for you. When you're looking at mortgages, the first thing is, do you want a fixed mortgage or a variable? Now, fixed means exactly what it says on the tin. That is what it will be every single month for that period of time. If it's variable, it will be moving up and down. The next thing is how long, if you opt for the fixed, for example, how long is it going to be fixed? Normally you can have a 2-year, 3-year, 5-year fixed, and then it goes up from there. Now, I always recommend a 5-year fixed because that normally coincides with a pre-exempt period. So when you get your section 125, you look at it, and it will say if you sell within 5 years, you'll have to pay back all of the discount or part of the discount. Now, that is the pre-exempt period. Now, I have seen one that only had 3 years as the pre-exempt period, but the majority I've seen, and believe me, I've seen quite a few, it's normally 5 years. So it just makes sense to do a 5-year fixed. So that means that the mortgage that you will be applying for, whatever that interest rate is, it will be the same interest rate for those 5 years. So that is the years of the deal of the mortgage. But then there's the term of the mortgage. So say, for example, you're 30, you could do a 30-year term. So it'd be 5-year fixed for the deal, but it's a 30-year term. Now, if you can afford to reduce the all over term, so instead of doing a 30, maybe do a 20-year, it will, one, you're not paying 30 years worth of interest, you're only paying 20 years worth of interest, but you're paying it over 20 years or over 30 years. So depending on that will determine how much your monthly payment is. So that's also something to be looked at. But again, when it comes to mortgages, I think, and I'm not just saying this because I am a mortgage advisor, but I think it really does help if you've got a mortgage advisor, because then we can help you and explain all of this. We can find out what's going on in your life and what works best. We can look at your budget and say, okay, based on that, this is what you can afford. Now, at the end of the day, when you're looking at your monthly outgoings, be aware that you have to pay your gas, electric, water. You have to pay, if you've got internet, Netflix and all that kind of stuff. If you've got loans, credit cards, all of that still needs to be paid. So make sure you're budgeting for that as well as being able to pay the mortgage. Now, once you have applied for the mortgage, they normally ask for certain documents, and you will supply those, or the mortgage advisor will do that on your behalf. The next thing that they will ask you is what type of survey do you want. So there's the valuation, which is a basic survey that just kind of says how much the property's worth, and the bank does want to value the property because they're lending you all this money. They want to check that the property is worth at least what they're lending you. So the most basic is the valuation, and then a step up from that is the home buyers. That's a traffic light system. What I mean by that is if there are major problems, it will be in red. If it's minor problems, it will be in amber, and if it's like hardly any problem at all, it will be in green. The next level up from that is the full structural survey. Now, a lot of people have been asking me about this. I genuinely feel it's worth it. It does cost more, but the property, you're talking hundreds of thousands of pounds this property's worth. The next thing is the conveyancer, property solicitor, and they will do all of the legal stuff for you, including if there is any stamp duty to pay. Now, the stamp duty changed what date? We're on the 2nd of April 2025 as of this recording. So the stamp duty has just changed for first time buyers, and all you right to buy guys out there are first time buyers. the stamp duty, instead of being 425,000, it is now 300,000. This is based on your property value after discount. So I hope that helps. If anyone has any more questions, please DM me. I also do have a course on Right to Buy. If it's something you're interested in, check it out in the bio. Take care, and if you've got any questions, put it in the comments. Thank you.